I have been watching some baseball. These games have been exciting. A lot of homers, and when they're not hitting homers, there's some good pitching. So I definitely think the playoffs have been pretty exciting this year.
Are you like me that whatever happens, you're just rooting against the Astros? You got to be honest.
I'm definitely going to root for the Rangers over the Astros. Montgomery pitched a great game the other night, so that was fun watching him.
So, Kiz, because you brought him up, Monty feels like a guy, makes a lot of sense. Bring him back.
Ooh-wee.
Come on back to St. Louis. Things worked out well. Nice, maybe, 5-year deal, 4-year deal. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I would love to have him back. I mean, that's a guy that not only has great stuff and is great on the bump and wants to compete and wants that ball every inning, but he's a great guy in the clubhouse. A personal friend of mine. We've been keeping in touch and really, honestly, don't have enough good things to say about Monty. He's just a heck of a guy.
Be honest with us, because it's not tampering if a player does it. Do you say, "Hey, come on back"? I mean, do you try to kind of coax him into at least considering that possibility?
Yeah, I may try to reach out to him. I'm gonna let him focus on trying to win a World Series right now. But once the season is officially over, I'll definitely reach out and see if I can maybe convince him to come back.
So here's the thing: we don't care about his World Series. If it's not the Cardinals, we don't care. But I'm going to offer this up, and I think you, as a member of the cast of Hot Take Central, should offer it up to him. But as a way to sweeten the pot, make him want to come back to St. Louis, you tell him he will get his own guest spot on Hot Take Central for the same amount of money that you're making doing it, and this will make him come back probably with a hometown discount.
Yeah, no, I think he would love to join the show and get on and talk to you guys.
That didn't seem that sincere, but okay, we'll take it.
What do you think of that Bryce Harper, man? I mean, I know he's not your teammate, but just watching him do his thing and kind of his attitude, I don't know, man. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, Bryce Harper is he's a one-of-a-kind talent. He's a guy that, it seems like he always rises to the occasion. And it seems like when the lights get brighter, he turns it on even more and produces for his team. And just playing against Harper, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to call pitches against him because he doesn't chase a whole lot and he hammers pitches in the zone. So he definitely makes my job difficult. But obviously, he's doing his thing for the Phillies and he's kind of carrying that team.
And we're getting into the longer series here, but even in a 7-game series, and in my opinion more so in a 5 or a 3-game series, you guys face this obviously exactly what I'm about to mention last year. When the Phillies can line up a Wheeler, Nola, 1-2, when you guys know that's coming last year in a 3-game series, or if it was a 5-game series, I mean, how tough is that knowing you're going to have to go through a couple aces to try to get a win or a series win?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, anytime you can throw out 2 number ones, it's going to make it tough on the opposing offense. And, if that's all they had, then I would say, okay, we might be able to grind through and maybe try to get their pitch count up and get them out of the game. But if you look at their bullpen is stacked. I mean, they have a guy for every situation, high velo guys with some nasty off-speed pitches. So, yeah, you might knock Wheeler and knock Nola out early, but then you got to face that nasty bullpen. So that kind of tandem right there is really difficult, especially in a short series.
I would think, too, that if I'm a baseball player in Major League Baseball, I would root for the Phillies. And here's why. Because there's this idea that everybody has to come from the farm system, and there's a lot of bad free agent deals, which there are. But if there's any team that's gotten here by signing a lot of good free agent deals, it's the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, if you look at their roster, there's a lot of guys that they picked up in free agency that have really, really contributed. I know there's a lot of bad contracts out there, but the Phillies are an example of that can work.
100%. And it's always good to see teams that are wanting to spend and actually go out and spend and get those results. I think that's always good for the players, especially. It might not be as good as for the front offices because they're trying to win on budgets. But for a front office to go out there and say, hey, we want to win and we're going to spend and actually get those results and be competing for, a World Series title a couple years in a row. I think that's definitely good for the players and the future of players' contracts.
As for this next question, if I were a producer / board op at a radio show, I would get ready to clip off this answer because it might get a lot of clicks. But a lot of talk about Yachty possibly coming back in some coaching capacity. When you hear the news that there's a possibility, there's talk at least between the two parties of Yachty coming back in some role, what is your reaction?
Well, I think, when you look at Yachty, he's a guy that has seen about everything you can see in this game. I mean, he's caught over, I don't know what it was, 2,000 games, countless innings. He's been a part of teams that have won World Series. So if you're looking for experience and a guy that, has a lot of it and has been through the fire and is, and kind of understands that player's perspective of the game, I think it can definitely be beneficial. I did see a couple of those articles come out online. So I don't know how true it all is, but obviously I think guys on the team can definitely benefit from continuing to learn from Yachty, and I think the fan base would love it too.
Kids, it's Cole here.
He's here.
This was a show topic earlier, and I'd like to include a current professional athlete in on this. How many push-ups can you do in a row?
Ooh. No, that's good.
Well, I don't know how many I could do in a row right now. Taking 3 weeks off, I might be a little light on my push-ups, but probably in the middle of my off-season training, I could probably rip off a good number of them.
No, we need a number.
Like
we
what?
need a number.
50?
A number?
I could do 100.
He can do 101 then.
Cam said,
I'm just getting him a baseline.
Cam said if you put a camera on
You
him,
put a camera on me,
and
dude,
he
I'll
knows
bust
people
out.
are watching, he will hit triple digits.
Dude, I'll bust out a hundo in front of everybody.
Yeah, I think, if I'm competing against Cam, I think I might have to, push him a little bit. He might push me. I think I could go push up versus push up against him.
Yeah,
I might be able to hit triple digits.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, he would do
you
this,
would.
and then we'd video it, trying to get clicks, and he'd pull a muscle
I
or
know.
something, and we'd be hated by Cardinal Nation. Let me ask you this, because I know you follow the UFC a little bit. I don't know how the Paul brothers, how close you follow those guys, but Cam's body of work. Who do you think would win if Logan Paul, the guy that just fought in an embarrassment of an event, embarrassing thing? How do you think Cam would fare against Logan Paul if he were to be added to Logan's dance card?
I'm going to have to roll with Cam. I mean, he's probably been in a whole lot more fights than Logan Paul. He's probably tougher, give him a little bit of training to get all the techniques down. I think he can do it.
Well, if they're going to pay me, everybody wins. I might just have to eat a couple more punches, How's the fishing going down there, dude? You been on the boat? You been fishing?
Yeah, been fishing. I actually did a little fishing on the west coast of Florida this past weekend. Went out there, had a couple tournaments I was in. Finished fourth in one tournament, which wasn't too bad. So, at the end of the day, you're catching fish, you're on the water, beautiful weather, you can't lose. So it's been really fun.
So let me ask you this. This was in the news also. So I'm just curious your view of this. I think overall the St. Louis media has a good relationship with the players and everything. But if in that clubhouse, if you're in there and you see the media's in there and you yell something to one of your teammates or say something, are you aware that that's up for grabs, or do you think that shouldn't be up for grabs? How do you look at it?
That's definitely an interesting topic because there is a lot of media always around. So, right there, me personally, I try not to say and do things because I kind of have the mindset that anything I say or do could be recorded or could be repeated. So, do I think it should be like that? I think the clubhouse should be somewhat of a safe haven for players to do what they want and say without it getting leaked, like unofficially. But at the same time, I think everybody's human, and I think you need to, as a player, realize that you always have to watch what you say or do no matter where you're at, whether you're in the clubhouse, on the field, or at Publix. You know, you always have to be careful because everybody's watching.
You know, there was a question after the pandemic when media came back into the clubhouse. Should media be allowed in there? And I would say, I mean, you're one of the guys that I think gets along with all the media. You make yourself available so you understand the upside to that. But how do you look at that? You know, if the clubhouse is that sacred area for you guys, should media be in there? Are they in there too much? What is your take on that?
You know, I've never had a problem with media because, you know, I never have a problem answering questions or doing whatever because that's a part of the job. You know, if you're a professional athlete, your job is to play and then answer questions based on performance, or if there's a story being written, you know, it's kind of your job to give that inside information. You know, I think one thing that players talk about a lot is, you know, I think a lot of guys don't mind media, but I think it might be, you know, at times, you know, if media is in the clubhouse and they're not in there with a purpose to ask a question or, you know, get some sort of video recording or whatever, then, you know, if you don't have a question, then there's no really need for anybody to be in there. So I think there definitely could be some things with efficiency in the clubhouse as far as media goes.
I like to ask the fitness questions. So who aside from you are the real workout warriors? Like, obviously Tyler O'Neill, everybody knows that. But, like, who are the guys who really get after it and take weightlifting pretty seriously? And are there any pitchers in there? Because pitchers in baseball kind of have the reputation of, like, oh, you know, are pitchers athletes? Are they not athletes? They, you know, they just sit around and do nothing for 4 days and
Miles
then they pitch their day.
Miles is jacked.
Well, let kids tell me that.
Seen Helsley?
Yeah. Well, I'll answer both of those questions in one. Starting pitchers get after it really well because they have a set schedule. So they know they're going to pitch, and then they have their routine where they can, you know, get into the weight room, lift a little bit heavier, do what they need to do, you know, throw their bullpen, you know. So they're able to really kind of lock in their schedules and get their workouts in. As far as everybody else, you know, everybody else is playing, not playing, could be pitching that day, might not be pitching. So it's more about trying to be efficient and strategic with your lifts during the season. And I think there's, you know, depending on the schedules that the training, you know, the strength staff sets up, there's times where you kind of ramp up a little bit in weights, and then there's kind of like some deload periods, you know, depending on how many games in a row we're playing or if we have some off days built in or kind of schedule things like that. So I think everybody gets after it in the off season, but during the season, it's more about trying to maintain and just do what you can do without being too sore for the next day.
So who determines the specific plan for each player? Like let's say you are interested in lifting a lot and you might put on more weight because of it because you're just getting jacked or whatever, but Ollie Marmol or John Mozeliak says, no, we like the way that you're at. You're going to do this. And, like, who kind of tells the trainers how to gear your workouts?
Well, I mean, we have a whole performance department for the St. Louis Cardinals. So there's guys looking at how we're performing on the field as far as sprint speeds, arm strength, you know, exit velos. And so we have a whole team looking at what we're doing on the field and then trying to take those numbers and really lock it in the weight room or even in the training room if you need to do some rehab and things like that. So, you know, there's a lot of people looking at data and trends as far as body weights and strength output. We do testing pretty much every week or maybe even every 2 weeks just to, you know, get those numbers and those checkpoints as the season goes. So we're constantly trying to improve and stay on top of it.
So, kids, we had this argument last week, and it gets into what we're discussing right now. We were talking about – excuse me?
Oh, I'm kidding. I was making a joke to cancel.
Well, no one heard it, so.
I said millionaires at 60 years old?
Okay. You have to wait till someone's done talking. Okay, so we were talking about Mark Burley and the fact that Mark Burley never missed a start once he became a starter in the big leagues. And he's from the St. Louis area. I believe he never threw in the offseason. I don't know if it was ever, but I know he had quotes where he literally never picked up a baseball. Do you think you could make the argument that it could be better for a baseball player's arm, and maybe this is more for pitchers. Obviously, you got to lift, you got to run, you got to stay fit. Do you think you could make the argument it's actually better for your arm to not throw in the offseason at all?
Oh, no. Here's the thing. Everybody's different. Everybody's body reacts different to certain things. So, I personally don't think guys should look at maybe an outlier like Burley. He might be a guy that, that worked for him, but he might be one out of 100,000 players that have ever not thrown in the offseason and go out and be a consistent all-star in the big leagues. I think there's definitely outliers on both sides. Maybe guys do a lot in the offseason and guys don't do really anything. But I think the majority of guys fall into that, just a consistent, approach to lifting and throwing and hitting and catching and fielding, that consistent approach in the offseason to keep your skills sharp and keep your body in shape without breaking it down too much in an offseason.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting with the arm specifically because I don't know if anyone really has it right? I mean, every arm and body is different, and if the goal is to limit injuries, I guess there's never really a perfect way to schedule a throwing program. I mean, people are going to get hurt anyway, also.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays guys are getting bigger, stronger, faster. They're throwing the balls harder and harder. So to me, just by looking at the human body's limitations, if you're throwing as hard as a human body can throw, that's only going to be able to last so long. I mean, you look at all the hard throwers in baseball, pretty much everybody has either had Tommy John surgery or, most likely will probably at some point. So, I think anytime you're pushing the body's limits like that, it's going to be tough to prevent injury.
Yeah, man. I know some guys that could just put the skates on and go. That ain't us, kids. We got to do our work in the summer, baby, man. You know that.
Right.
Hey, good luck to you down there. Good luck in your fishing tournaments, too. And we'll talk next week, big dog.
Sounds good, boys. I'll see y'all next week.
See you, kids. Later, man. Andrew Knizner.
He's great.
They love him. They love him.
I don't know.
Kids, we love you.
Kind of the excitement. Montgomery's coming back.
Yeah, he is.
And he's going to be on this show.
How about Cole interrupting you? Right when you're about to ask a question.
Well, I don't care if you interrupt, but nobody could hear what he said.
I got it.
Charlie stared into your soul.
It wasn't a good interruption.
Well, no, it could have been. But the point is, if you say something when somebody else is talking, especially on these mics, by the way, you can't do that. Back in the day, you could do you can't do that.
Yeah.
No one hears it.
Charlie goes, "Excuse me?"
Well, I couldn't hear what he said.
He stared at you so bad.
The goal of communicating is actually communicating the message.
Fair enough.
I like that Knizner. I like that. He's going to those fishing tournaments, man. That's kind of cool.
That's actually be
That'd
cool.
be fun.
He can out push up you, buddy.
Probably.
No,
he
I
probably
don't know.
could. He doesn't weigh. He probably weighs about 200 pounds, right? 210 maybe. He could probably do a lot.
All I know,
that guy works his ass
All
off.
I know is that since his association with this show, his stock has skyrocketed.
People love him. Is there anybody on this text line that doesn't like Andrew Knizner?
How could you?
How can you not like that guy? He is humble. He's honest. He works his ass off, and he brings the heat every Tuesday. He doesn't have to.
And he's true.
And Cole interrupts stuff.
He's dead on too. It could be a bad loss, bad performance by the starter, and he will be there to talk.
He will. I know. He did say though, he's like they might need to clean house a little bit in the locker room. He's like, there's a lot of people in there, Didn't he say something like that? Or am I crazy? When we're talking about
He was saying that they're
Thin the herd.
Thin the herd. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
We got to bring in the YouTube people.
Oh, I know. Thin the herd.
The
Who's that?
modern media.
Who's he talking about?
There's a lot of people in there, and I'm in there. I'll show you why I'm in there. I'm not there just to follow someone else.
No.
And hold a microphone.
No,
I don't know how you.
you request
I don't know
the
how
people
you
to come
chop
out.
off everything. I will say I was reading that Alana Rizzo did apologize to that
really?
guy.
Okay.
That she did.
And she did a total 180.
Well,
which
when you're getting rocked.
she went after she went after this guy.
I know.
Like nobody's business, and basically went off against all people of his genre of media.
I know.
And then was like, I was caught up in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure it was that sincere.
No, you got rocked.
As she should have.
You got rocked. And
She's
you're
also
like,
a
wait
huge
minute.
hypocrite.
Yeah. Exactly. She sounds
Massive
like a biatch.
hypocrite.
Yep. She did. Bring Tyler O'Neill on the show. Then he might have a 40-homer season. Okay.
He was on.
He was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had him on.
I have a clip of
It didn't help his 2023.
No, it didn't.
I have a clip of Tyler O'Neill being on. I got to go find it, though.
You know who we used to have on? We should get back on.
Who?
And I like Tyler, but this guy's more interesting. See, we used to have his dad on.
Oh, really?
His dad was Mr. Canada.
That's right.
And worked out with Arnold back in the day.
Really?
So if you want good stories, he's got a lot of them. Venice Beach.
Well, actually, I went out to Marina Del Rey, and I got a second opinion on my back.
See, we did have him on, didn't we? Nate. He's got doozies.
You know who would be great if he's on the team? Who knows how this thing lays out?
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Burleson.
Yep. That's my guy. That guy is funny and honest, and he embraces the fact that he might, to some, look more like a softball player.
Oh, really?
But that guy can hit. That guy can hit, and he's funny.
Yeah, he was cool when you were doing that thing with him, the bunting. Like, you just
funny.
tell he's got a good sense of humor.
He does.
Like, he's cool.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion is essentially a way of saying we hate white people.
And you should.
And you should, Charlie. I keep
Alec
telling people
Burleson
that.
is going to have a nice career for the Seattle Mariners.
All right.
Does that mean that that pitcher's coming back?
Just one of them. Gilbert.
I want Gilbert.
Kirby, the guy that doesn't like to throw more than 4
Don't want
pitches.
him. Don't want it.
But he's good.
It is funny, though. Like, people are, like, outraged over Kirby saying that. Yeah, I didn't have it. I shouldn't have been out there. Whatever. And then if he came to the Cardinals, we would immediately overlook that and say, we got him.
I think that was a pretty bad look, though.
Bad look. No question. I want Gilbert. I love that kid.
Yeah. They got work to do. Oh, Pizza Walt chimed back in. Oh, boy.
Oh, here we go.
I see the Enterprise Center finally replaced the towel man on the side of the building with lemon drop. There is a picture up there with a rubber fist, a dog with a jar of peanut butter, a Ukrainian flag, and a picture of Joe Biden sniffing a child. Zip it, lemon boy. Pizza Wallet. Damn.
So that's Lemming Winks?
Yeah.
And is Lemming Winks a political guy?
Don't know.
No.
No, but he
lives in the
hates Pizza
city.
Wallet.
But he lives in the city, right?
He's
Lemming
a
Winks?
city boy, and Pizza Wallet's a country boy. And they're just going toe-to-toe. But remember, they did have the towel man on there. But now they have, Robert Thomas and Braden Shin and Jordan Cairo.
This isn't a shot at the towel, man, because I respect the history. But if that's a guy you put on the side of your building, you don't have much that you're proud of.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Come grow with us. Towel man.
The towel man.
I am so confused right now.
You need to get Mazalok on so the cat can ask his softball weak-ass questions or whatever.
Don't you think Mosaic?
Wait, what?
They're going to do a presser after the World
Candy ass
Series.
generation.
Don't you think?
I don't really get, like, I saw that there's some guys on Twitter, like, fuming. And I think it's because they want stuff to write, and they don't have it now since nothing's going on. But if I'm the Cardinals and I didn't have anything to announce, I think doing your wrap-up after the World Series is fair.
Except for, haven't they always done it just right after the season, or am I wrong? I feel like back in the day when I would cover them, it was always, the next week.
Listen, as a rights holder, we had Mo on pregame for the final game of the season. That was our wrap-up.
That's it. You're right.
But don't
I
they
don't know.
always do it?
I don't know. Sometimes if we get him on pregame and I do my own, I don't even track when he's doing other
So
stuff.
let me ask you this. I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
So the year they fired Schilt, did they do – so that would have been what year? Just 2 years ago.
COVID, 21.
So after the 21 season, did they hold a press conference and then fire him a couple days later? Is that how it went?
Can't remember. I don't think so because I remember seeing the announcement that they were going to have a presser about Schilt, and I thought it was an extension.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I thought,
That's right. Right.
I'm honest. I try to be honest. I try my best. I had no idea about the tumult behind the scenes, and I thought they were doing some sort of extension. I had no idea until someone else had found out somewhere leaked what it was going to be about. I was shocked by that. But then when I found out it isn't like everyone thinks, there were behind-the-scenes things that went on, and it wasn't just like he had a disagreement with one person or yelled at. There was a bunch of things. And I like Schilt. I've always been a Schilt guy.
What happened?
There was he didn't treat a lot of people well behind the scenes.
Oh, that's a shame.
It wasn't, people think, well, I heard it was one. and I've asked a lot of people about this. There was a lot of things behind the scenes where it reached a point of really critical mass, as I understood it.
Yeah. Hey, did you guys see Mike Babcock at the Blues game? We were filming him. Stuff
Screw
like
that guy.
Well, his son works for Blues.
Well,
But that's funny.
I'm a Blue
I don't know why it
Jackets
just
fan.
popped in my head. You're talking about treating people bad. I'm like, oh, yeah, Babcock was sitting in the stands at the Blues games.
I bet you the 2021 Schilt deal was COVID related because they were doing all of the Zooms. I remember because the news broke as I was on the radio about ready to interview our Mizzou guest about Mizzou football. Like the second I asked him a question on Twitter, basically reports are Schilt's out. And that year they were still doing Zooms. So if they even did an end of the year deal, it would have been a Zoom. Because I remember logging in to the announcement and it was Mozeliak over Zoom.
I should remember. I don't. Sometimes my memory isn't that great. And I cough on the air.
That's right.
Remember
And,
Schilt, though?
and interrupt.
My memory's great, and I don't cough.
But Schilt's statement was via Zoom. Remember, he was able to go out there and do a little deal.
is that something that you could air on the radio live? Because I know that you can do that just at a press conference.
Yeah. Why not?
And I'll say this about Schilt, too, because I always liked him and I thought he was a good manager. During the Zoom stuff, like, he would do a separate Zoom with me. Like, see, as much of a pain in the butt is
Really?
to do it with the media, he would do a separate Zoom with me so I could get what I needed for our pregame because we weren't there, at the time. And he did that win, lose, draw, and there were times where you could see there was that stretch where they were playing awful baseball, and you could see he was wearing a little bit, but he always made himself available and did that, and I always appreciated that. I'm a Schilt guy.
I don't mean to pry too much, but when you say he didn't treat people great, it's not you're not talking about the media. You're talking about more internal.
It was
Okay.
internal, and and look, I don't have if I had everything locked down or whatever. Maybe I would. I'm not going to name names.
No,
I'm just telling you.
It's all good.
Big picture stuff. There was stuff going on behind the scenes. I'll bet he learned from it. I hope he manages again because I think he's a wonderful guy and a good manager. But I think like Matheny learned from his experience. I think it's part of the process. And
Did the
Schultz is
Cardinals?
a good dude.
Did the Cardinals learn from it?
What do you don't hire like a minor league manager with no big league experience? No.
Well, no, they've done that three times.
Yeah, they just went to Ollie, so the answer is no.
No, I'm saying, what if keeping Schilt, despite some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, actually would have been the better baseball move?
They made their decision.
I know, but I'm saying
defend.
like, they had a
I
horrible
don't know
year.
everything that went into that decision, so I don't know.
Depends on how much of a leash they were giving him to make his own decisions opposed to their own general baseball philosophies.
That's my point.
Okay, but and again, I'm wrong and I don't know. That's not exactly what I was talking about.
Right.
But if you read it on a blog, then go with it.
What are you saying?
Well, a lot of people say the reason Schill got it was because he didn't follow marching orders the way the front office wanted him to. And I'm saying there's more to it. Even though someone wrote that in the blog, go with it.
But my point is, that's not what I was bringing up at all.
I know. I'm addressing.
But we all
Poland.
know, like,
Me?
we know there's people he did not get along with in the front office, and there's staff, and there's things you can say and not say, and I understand that. I'm talking about baseball on the field. Schilt was really credited, as he should have been, because the end of Matheny, it wasn't like the team was that bad. Remember, he never had a losing season. The team was sloppy as hell. People in St. Louis are used to a style of baseball. You can make a joke about best fans in baseball and the Cardinal way, blah, 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 George Kissel, but it's true. The Matheny era at the end was sloppy. Bad base running, bad defense. You can also get into the pitching changes and all that, but it was about the cleaning up the Cardinal way, and that's what Mike Schilt did. He did. The defense improved. The base running improved. And I'm not blaming this all on Ollie or the coaching staff, but they were really bad in those categories in 2024. They were. Now you changed.
2024 hadn't happened.
2023.
Yeah.
You have the shift. You know, the shift went away. These are all factors.
You also
don't have Harrison Bader. There's all factors, but the Cardinal way product really fell off in 2023.
You're 100% right on that. I hate to say 100% because everyone says that now. But you're totally right. But I do think the blame goes around front office and the coaching staff.
Of course.
You don't win. But, I mean, you have a guy like Walker who's in the outfield for the first time. Your chances of being that lockdown, really good defensive team, you don't have Bader, as you pointed out. It wasn't going to be that anyway. You were hoping that it would get better, but then as guys got hurt, you had other pieces in there too. I think the blame gets spread around everywhere.
Of course. But in past years, we have all lauded, as we should, some of the great, not just managers, not just La Russa or what Schilt did, but the coaching staff, how you can make a difference with somebody like a Dave Duncan, who, if there's ever a pitching coach in the Hall of Fame, it should be Dave Duncan. How about Jose Oquendo? Just fundamentals, cleaning up infield defense. Willie McGee is a fantastic instructor of outfielders. So, like in the past, we've said, hey, the Cardinals have a great coaching staff. They add value. And now I do think there's all this, like, oh, the coaches don't matter at all. Well, why have them then? I mean, look, we all know Jordan Walker, there was going to be a tough kind of first-year transition. But also, you have a bunch of paid professionals to help those situations.
I agree. And yeah, that's why I say blame goes on the coaching staff, front office, Cam.
It's always my fault.
I think there's plenty of blame to go around. But sometimes when the pieces don't fit, it just makes it harder. And then I think it was like a snowball rolling down the mountain.
But you got Gold Glovers, Arenado still, Goldschmidt, Edman. I know Donovan only played 95 games. He was a Gold Glove utility guy the previous year. Tyler O'Neill, multiple Gold Glove winner. We know what happened there. But, I mean, this wasn't like you had a softball team.
Did he win 2 or just 1?
He won 2.
I didn't even realize that.
Didn't he win COVID in the next year?
We don't count COVID.
You may be right about that.
And if you talk to Tyler O'Neill, he would say, yeah, part of the reason I got the Gold Glove is because I had this much field to cover because Bader got the rest. You take Bader out of the mix, who I think is the best defensive center fielder in baseball. Maybe the metrics don't back that up. I'm going by eye test. It made it a lot easier on all the other outfielders.
Correct. Back-to-back years.
Didn't even realize that.
The COVID year was the odd year because didn't they go by basically a statistic to choose that one?
I don't recall.
Cat is saying Schilt was Ellen DeGeneres behind the scenes. Danny Boy, the Iowan. Let's see. A huge difference between the Blues and the Cardinals that Army and Chief are easy to like and Mo and Ollie are easy to hate, the all-knowing expert. If that's true about Schilt, and I'm not saying not how can he... I'm not saying it's not how can he then say he was so blindsided by the firing. I guess just in case of no self-awareness, plenty of that going around, Sharon. Did I butcher that girl? My bad. God dang, I can't read.
Don't you think there's something to be said, though, that I think Schilt came up as the guy that had every job. He was the high school, college coach. He was the guy that never played baseball. So sometimes you're kind of always looked at that guy. You come in, you get the dream job. Nobody thinks you're going to get it. You get it. You're the low man on the totem pole. Mm-hmm. Then you win a bunch of games. Then you win a manager of the year, right? Oh, I got a little juice. You think you got a little juice. You don't.
You don't.